Alrighty, what's up, you guys? Doing a patch notes review. I have not read them yet, but I did see the little splash art that they put up on the Discord, and Kalari's getting nerfed again. So we're about to see what that's all about. Anyways, let's just get into it. So matchmaking improvements. I recommend if you haven't watched the latest Predcast, definitely go check it out because it had some really good information about the matchmaking and the way it works. So I'm not even gonna go over that. I'm just gonna say go watch the Predcast. Hero changes. Health and mana regen and base increased from 12.5% per second to 18% per second. That's good. I saw one of Zehe's videos and he literally just camped their spawn as Murdoch. They spawned and died so quick that they couldn't play the video game. So that's good. S factor. What is this? A hero's S factor is their scalar. This determines how much of their stats they get from their growth. A hero with a large S factor will get more of their growth stats earlier in the game. On average, the changes made with this patch will create less variance per level stats and increase the amount of stats heroes are receiving in the early game. This will affect health and mana the most, meaning time to kill should rise just a little bit in the early game. Okay. So time to kill, meaning people are going to be a little harder to kill, is what I'm understanding. At least that's what I'm getting from that. Countess. Yeah, tank Countess stuff, yep. Magical lifesteal per stack decreased from 2 to 1.5%. Blood Siphon. Base healing per target decreased from 10 to 18 to 10 to 14. Healing scaling increased from 5 to 6%. So this is just targeting early game healing, really. It's still going to be pretty much the same late game. I think it's a slight nerf to the late game healing from Blood Siphon, but it's fine. That's a 20 damage decrease scaling into late game. But scaling increase, yep, more early game nerf. That's good. Fang Mao. Fang Mao nerf. I see. Alright. It's just his ult though, which makes sense. His ult is literally the strongest part of his kit, so physical power scaling decreased from 80% to 70%. Execute physical power scaling decreased from 100% to 80%, and execute physical penetration scaling increased by 100%. Holy shit. So what I'm getting from that is this is going to be better against tankier targets. Hopefully, which is good. Faye. Base health increase, Q scaling increase, Gideon. Scaling increase, mana cost increase for his Q. His E, mana cost increase, that's probably good because that shit's so annoying when you gank a Gideon and he just E's out. It's so free for him. Such a safe character. Howitzer bug fix, and his Q scaling increased from 70% to 75%. Oh boy, here we go. Let's read this. Kalari. Kalari's first clear has become infamous for its speed and how quickly she can come online. We're looking to slow it down a bit, as well as slightly decrease her dagger scaling to tackle her tendency to snowball. Her death mark was also functioning incorrectly, and is also getting fixed, and her core item malady is being targeted a bit to make her feel a little more fair to fight in normal matches. Okay. Alright. Base attack speed decreased from 120 to 110. Attack speed growth decreased from 3.3 to 2.8. Fix a bug causing death mark to scale with 5.5% of your physical power instead of 3%. So it's just been stronger for no reason. That's kind of funny. Crippling dagger scaling decrease from 90% to 85%. So yeah, Kalari still gonna be useful. Still gonna be very useful, but that's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a bit. Man, my main, no. No. Fuck, man. Lieutenant Bellica. Scaling increased from 65% to 70% on the Q. I think that's the knockup, if I'm correct. Cooldown decreased. Wow. Nice. Void drone. Damage increase for the late game. Scaling increased. Holy shit. Yo, her drone about to be scary. Murdoch. Health growth. Nice. Muriel. Mana cost for the E. Nice. Narbash. Yeah, you don't see enough Muriel because it's like, why play Muriel when you can play Richter or Steel? You know? Same goes with Narbash. Why play Narbash when you can play Richter or Steel? It just doesn't really make too much sense. So Narbash base mana increased from 380 to 480. Mana growth decreased from 70 to 60. Base mana regen increased from 1 to 1.5. His E mana drain per second changed from 10 to 30 to 20 flat. Nice. I mean, it's good early game. Doesn't really matter too much late game because you're gonna have your items. Healing per second increased. That's good. That's really good. It's just the early game healing, which is probably what he needed anyway. I don't think his late game healing was bad. Beat drop stacks per second increased from 1 to 2. I don't really know what that means because I haven't played Narbash at all. I haven't touched Narbash. His thunk, that's his stun. Mana cost increased from 50 to 60. That's probably good. Especially since all his mana got changed. So he has more mana early game. Revenants. Base physical power decreased from 57 to 52. Base attack timer decreased from 1.1 to 1.01. That's good. He did feel a little weird with how slow he shoots. Base attack timer reduction per level decreased from 0.018 to 0.014. His Q damage decreased. Scaling decreased. Okay, but the damage to players for consecutive missiles is now 20% instead of 15. That's interesting. Magical power scaling increased from 75% to 100%. So now there's more incentive to go at an AP build. Range increased from 1500 to 1750. Cone angle decreased from 60 to 55. Hellfire rounds base missing health damage decreased from 6% to 4%. Modified critical damage changed from 125 to 175% to 140 to 175%. So that's just making it better early game for the crits you hit. So if you get lucky early game, it's just dealing more damage. E, bonus magical damage decreased from 50 to 10%. Added 80% magical power scaling. Yeah, I mean, they're just incentivizing AP Revenant. So, like, Revenant mid lane might be more of a thing this patch. Which is cool. You don't really see any of the carries in mid lane too often. Richter, base health decreased. What a good change. Let's go. He does so much. And I know it's all intended. Like all these changes and the way the characters work, they're all intended. Severog. Nice. Nice. Yes. More health, more physical armor. His Q damage is higher. It's only 5 damage per level, but that's still more. Nice. His dash cooldown is down by 4 seconds early game. Nice. That's actually huge. Because Severog feels so underwhelming. Every time I have a Severog, I'm like, oh, are they going to feed? Are they not going to stack their Q properly? Or their passive? Probably not. Steel. Shield bash, base damage reduced by 10 damage per level. Stun duration decreased from 0.5 to 0.3. Range decreased. I don't think they needed to decrease the range on that. Because it already feels bad enough if you miss his stun, because it's such a close stun. I think the other changes were good. I don't think the range was necessary. Force shield, base damage decreased from 60 to 220. They cut that shit in half. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it though. Like when you think about it, walking through a little barrier shouldn't be dealing 220 plus scaling late game, That's a little ridiculous because you're already getting punished by walking through and getting slowed. So that makes sense. I'm fine with that change. That's a good change. Item changes. Phoenix. Rebirth location marker duration decreased from 6 to 4 seconds. So you got to be a little more careful when you pop this shit. Especially if you're tower diving. Brimstone. Brimstone has been seeing abuse on more than just tanks. So we are bumping it down its damage output whilst maintaining the jungle clear to ensure that tanks don't fall out of the role. Fixed an issue that was causing Brimstone to draw a tower aggro. That's toxic. I don't think I ever really experienced that because if I was diving tower anyway, I was already hitting someone. So I don't know if I really had that bug happen to me or not. But I also don't really like tank meta, if I'm being honest. Blaze damage decreased from 20 to 12. Additional damage versus monsters increased from 50% to 100%. So this is doing... This seems like it got buffed. No, yeah, it did. So now it's doing 2 more damage to the monsters. That's good. That'll help clear. Malady. Demise scaling decreased from 30% to 10%. Wow. That's quite the hit. Nightfall Bug Fix. Fix an issue where the Eclipse passive was granting 10% Omnivamp rather than 5. Yeah. I was messing around with that last night and holy fuck. it did so much. The amount of healing and attack speed you get off this item, singling out a target, yeah, that's crazy. Alright. Mage Itemization is getting a big shift to allow mages to access more magical power in the later stages of the game without affecting their power in the early game. Some of the early game items like Azure Core have had their scaling increased for this purpose. So Azure Core magic power increased from 50 to 60. Mana decreased from 350 to 300. Azure Core. I think I read this as Azure Core. That's Astral Catalyst. Azure Core scaling increased from 3% of maximum mana to 4%. Combustion base damage decreased, scaling increased. So early game nerf, late game buff. That's how you read those. Dreambinder cost increased from 2,900 to 3,000. Magic power increased from 60 to 80. Health decreased from 350 to 250. And the build path is different. Golem's Gift, magical power increased from 60 to 70. Magnify, magical power increased from 50 to 60. Oathkeeper, magical power increased from 60 to 70. Health decreased from 250 to 200. Magical power scaling on the passive increased from 40 to 50%. Oblivion Crown, that's just a bug fix. Magical power on Spellbreaker increased by 5. Tainted Scepter increased by 5 power. Time Warp rework. Okay. Time Warp has been reworked due to its problematic nature, pushing it to more of a late game tech option due to a higher state I can't read. Due to a higher stat line, we understand that this will be less viable on supports as a result, but we will be looking to improve support itemization in the future balance pass. Okay. So the cost is 3,300. It has 100 magical power, 15 fizz armor, 15 ability haste. This passive Ferromancer. Casting an ability grants 6 magical power and 3 physical armor for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So, meaning 30 magical power and 15 armor. Chime, every 5 seconds, subtract 0.5 seconds from all current ability cooldowns. What? Honestly, that just sounds crazy to me. The Time Warp rework sounds crazy, man. Wow. Okay. That's cool. I'm ready to see what that can do for people. Worldbreaker Bug Fix fixed an issue where the Fiend passive would stack up to 5 times instead of 4 times. Dynamo change. Good. Nerfed the passive. It does less damage now. From 5% to 4% scaling. Fire Blossom. Good. Good. This is the best change in the patch. Let's go. Now blocks Brimstone from being bought whilst owned. Blaze, base damage decreased from 25 to 15. Additional damage versus immobilized targets increased from 50% to 100%. Raiment of Renewal. Haste decreased. Regenerator passive healing from damage taken increased from 10% to 15%. Synthesis reworked from increased all healing received by 15% to gain health regeneration equal to 1% of your bonus health. Towers, let's go. More damage. Yeah. While you are there to protect your towers, we wanted them to pack a little bit more of a punch themselves. We are upping the base and the max damage for all 3 turrets, while slightly adjusting their damage per level scaling. Keep an eye on those towers, diving interactions, and we'd love to hear feedback. So, tier 1s, base damage increased from 118 to 130, damage per level decreased from 12 to 10, damage cap increased from 238 to 250. Tier 2s, damage increased from 140 to 154, damage per level decreased from 14 to 12, damage cap increased from 280 to 286. Inhibitors, damage increased from 140 to 154, damage per level decreased from 14 to 12, damage cap increased from 280 to 286. So these two are completely the same. And there's just some general bug fixes, it looks. I mean, you guys can read the rest. I hope you enjoyed. I'm probably not even going to edit this. I'm probably just going to upload it. It takes too much time for the edits. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like in the comments. Let me know what you think about the patch notes. And hit that sub button. And with that being said, peace the fuck out, motherfuckers. I'll see you next video.